Now let's take a look at Datasmith. I think you'll find that Datasmith does a remarkable job of bringing in your assets with the least amount of effort. Let's go ahead and import our architectural visualization scene here that we exported. Now, the really cool thing about Datasmith is that it does a lot of work for us. So there's really very few options in the Datasmith import window when compared to FBX. That's because Datasmith's really smart, and it does most of the config stuff for you without you having to tell it to do so. The other beauty of using Datasmith is, of course, that you can bring in entire scenes into the engine in just a few clicks. And it will save each asset of the scene as an individual Unreal asset. So geometry will be converted to static meshes, etc. So let's look at some of the options here in the import window. First up, we have the ability to specify where we want the scene to be saved, the Datasmith file. I've already created a folder here called Datasmith Assets. If you want to create your own, obviously you could just right-click and choose New Folder. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. And in the second window here, again, we don't really have a lot of options. We just need to specify if we want to import geometry and materials and textures, and of course we do. We could also import lights and cameras, just as we could with FBX import. But of course we don't have any lights or cameras in this particular scene, so we won't worry about that now. Finally, we have static mesh import options for the light map resolution, and we'll get into this a little more when we talk about generating light map UVs. But basically we can specify the minimum resolution and the maximum resolution, and that's in texel size. So 64 minimum, 512 maximum. Texels being, if you're not familiar with them, basically like pixels, but in a 2D texture map format. And so obviously the more texels you have, the greater your light map resolution will be. Let's just go ahead and hit the import button and bring it in. All right, so let's go ahead and drop a point light in here because we currently have no lighting. There we go. This is just a temporary solution so we can see the assets in the scene. Now, if you want to learn about light map baking, this course does not cover that. We will go over basic data prep for getting your assets ready for light mapping, but we won't be covering actual light baking. So if you want to learn more about that, you don't already know that, be sure to check out the Unreal Wiki and docs for some great tutorials on how to create light maps, as well as learning courses on that. Now, Datasmith is smart enough to generate instances just the way you have them set up in 3ds Max or whatever tool you're using. These 4 lamps are, in fact, instances, as are these 2 couches. These are instanced, and some other objects in this scene. And what Datasmith does is it only generates one asset in your content folder, and all of the rest of the assets are instances. So if we click on the lamp and then right-click and choose Browse to Asset, you can see there's only one lamp here and it's being duplicated. And this is going to save memory, so you're not loading 4 of the exact same lamp into memory, and that's going to improve your performance. It also means you can tweak one of them and then see them all change. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and jump back into 3ds Max. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a quick tweak to this lamp here. We're just going to elongate the shade, just like that. Okay, you can see here, since these are all instances, they are also changing. And then we'll need to re-export the scene. And we'll do that. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here, and we'll come back when it's done. All right, we've re-exported the Datasmith file. So all we need to do now to see the changes in Unreal is we'll select our lamp here in the content folder, right-click it, and choose Re-import. And there we go. So iteration time is greatly reduced using Datasmith. Re-importing assets that have been changed in the 3D package is as easy as using the re-import option. Granted, if you're doing an entire scene like we are here, you're going to have to re-export the entire scene from 3ds Max and then import it back into Unreal. But when you import it back into Unreal, you don't have to import the entire scene. You just import individual assets wherever you made those changes. Unreal does offer some other import options which we didn't talk about today. Be sure to check out the documentation on the wiki and whatnot to find out more about that. So next up, we'll jump right into the main part of the course on data preparation and look at how properly located pivot points can help make 3D assets in Unreal behave the way you expect them to.